Metal Jesus, I'm back again. Now, people who know me know that I'm into video games, but also music, and I've had some requests to cover music a little bit more. So I thought it might be kind of fun to deviate a little bit to, kind of different from what I do most weeks, and cover some of my favorite albums from the 1970s. And what better way to do that than to show albums in their natural habitat? Now, I'm talking about vinyl. So we're gonna go to a record store. It's gonna be really cool. All right, well, I'm here with Miss Metal Jesus, and she's gonna help me pick out some of our favorite albums from the 1970s. We were kids in the 70s, and so we grew up with this stuff.
It's quite a long time ago.
It kind of influenced our musical taste.
Yep.
And we actually had a lot of fun listening to these albums today to kind of refresh our memory, kind of debate a little bit about which ones we thought would be number one or number two. And I think we've got a really good list. As a matter of fact, there's some surprises on here. I mean, we're sticking to hard rock, so we're not going to venture off into the
disco or
the Elton John or even like
pop,
or the punk era. We're kind of ignoring all that.
We're kind of sticking to rock. At least this episode.
Yeah, totally.
So our first band that we want to talk about today is Deep Purple.
The Mighty Purple.
The Mighty Purple. Well, and what's interesting is I was recently introduced to Deep Purple, even though I've known they've existed since the late 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I always kind of thought they were like Leonard Skinner or Steely Dan, which are good bands, but it wasn't quite my thing. And then so Jason brought home Burn, and it's actually one of my favorite albums of the 70s.
Yeah, totally.
Two of my favorite songs on there is Burn and Mistreated. Mistreated is... it's just so sexy.
It's an awesome slow burn blues tune.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah. And sticking with Deep Purple, I want to mention a album that I picked up actually last year, and that is the live album Made in Japan. This is fantastic. It's a double album, and the thing that really blew me away with this is that, we play music, and occasionally we would play out, and when you listen to this album, even today, you are humbled at how excellent
it's so true.
The musicianship was on this. The mastery of their instruments, it's stunning even to this day. If you are even remotely interested in learning about Deep Purple, you have to check out this live album. It's really, really awesome.
So one of the oldest albums we chose as one of our favorites is Who's Next by The Who. And they have, of course, this album was iconic.
Yeah.
To say the least. It has a ton of amazing songs on it, like Baba O'Reilly, Love Ain't for Keepin', Getting in Tune, Behind Blue Eyes.
Classic song.
Classics.
Also, Won't Be Fooled Again is another sort of rock anthem.
One. Yeah. Just a slightly large.
But that album cover is really funny.
I didn't know that. He just told me that the little wet spots on the cement wall, they peed on it.
Yeah.
And if you can look closely, they're all like zipping up afterward.
Yeah, it's a very classy album cover. It's funny, if you buy the collector's edition of the CD of this album here, like today, if you went to it and buy it, it actually shows an outtake of the cover here. That's how I actually knew that, is that it shows them facing the other way and pissing on this really weird wall. But
it almost looks like the monolith from 2001. If anyone's old enough to remember that.
Instead, it's just a bunch of guys taking a leak.
Yeah, really.
But an awesome, awesome album.
Yeah, totally. So the next band that we'd like to bring up is one of our all-time favorite bands. They had several awesome albums during the 70s, so we actually have a couple of picks. We debated between us which one was our favorite, so we actually have two different favorites.
And that band is ACDC. And I'm picking an album that might surprise a lot of people. It's Power Age. But that's because when I was a young kid, this was the album that I got introduced first. And even to this day, I think that it just has a really cool vibe. If you're kind of sick of AC/DC, you can go back and listen to this album and actually maybe find some gems in there that some people missed. But you disagree.
Well, I like Power Age. Actually, I was originally introduced to AC/DC. My first real memory of AC/DC was Highway to Hell, which is really my favorite album of theirs. I love the new singer, but I'm still a Bon Scott fan, personally. So we don't have Highway to Hell, but we do have If You Want Blood, You Got It. And it's actually, I know it's not considered a great live album. I personally love it. It has one of my favorite songs of all time, Whole Lotta Rosie on it, which we play. Yeah, we played it in our band. Yes, and, but anyway, so yeah, Highway to Hell and pretty much any AC/DC album in the 70s. It's awesome. Yeah, it's great. So no list of the hard rock albums of the 70s would be complete without having the mighty Led Zeppelin on there. Very true. And I'm a huge fan, and the album I chose is Physical Graffiti. This is actually a really cool double album that they released, and I don't know, I just kind of dig it. It's just kind of dark. It's a little bit towards their prog rock side. It's got some really epic songs on there, but it's also got some really kind of light tunes on there, including the song I love. It's called In the Light. There's also Down by the Seaside, the Wanton song, the Rovers on here, In My Time of Dying, and of course the Mighty Kashmir. That's a classic tune. So yeah, totally. The other album we had to mention, obviously, is Led Zeppelin 4, otherwise known as Zoso, or the unnamed album. Yeah. And of course, everybody, if you don't know, it has Black Dog, Rock and Roll, Stairway to Heaven, The Battle of Evermore. I mean, almost every song was a big hit. Hey, hey, mama said the way you move, gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove. I just had to do that. That was really sad. Yeah. All right, so since I am the metal Jesus, there is one band in the 70s that really was, I think, the genesis of metal, especially the stuff that was to come in the 80s and 90s, and that is Black Sabbath. True that. They just had a ton of great albums during that time. We had to pick two of them, and I'm going to start with Master of Reality. This is a great album. Yeah, Starts off with Sweet Leaf. It's got Children of the Grave. Great song. Actually really dig the Rob Zombie version of that. He did a cover of it. Lord of This World and Into the Void. I mean, talk about influential. Black Sabbath was one of the most influential bands probably of our time, at least of the rock and roll era. Yeah, totally. So the other album we did choose was Paranoid. Big surprise. Another iconic album. War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man, Fairies Wear Boots, which is one of my favorites. I love that. That's a great title. I just thought it was a great song. Yeah. And again, iconic. Heavy. Heavy. Yeah, total heavy. Yeah, it was just awesome album. And Ozzy. I mean, duh. Ozzy's awesome. Yeah, talk about an icon. Yeah, totally. Living icon. We love him. Are we done? Can you stop yet? Are you gonna stop? Okay. So our third favorite album of the 70s is, of course, Kiss. We love Kiss. And I grew up with Kiss, and we actually had, in my house, my sisters and I had posters of this album on our closet wall forever. And what I thought was really great when we first met was, I'd given up Kiss, and I was so disillusioned, in the 80s after Kiss kind of took a major dive. But he kind of rekindled my love of Kiss, and so I'm still a big fan. And anyway, take it away, mister. Yeah, so how do you pick a favorite Kiss album of the 70s? I'm a huge Kiss fan as well. And I really thought long and hard about this. And actually, I recently watched a documentary about Kiss. And Paul Stanley was saying something about how their first three albums were not selling very well at all. And they were on a record label that was really struggling. So in desperation, they decided to release a live album. But nobody got famous off of live albums. And so it was a real
sort of challenge to do that.
It was a big risk for them, because basically they were going to have to break up if they didn't sell anything.
Yeah, they weren't going anywhere, but yet they had this great reputation as a live band. So they released one of the greatest live albums of all time.
Yeah,
and that is Kiss Alive.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to this as a kid, and again, you just kind of envisioned yourself at a Kiss concert, and it just seemed like the coolest place on the planet.
They just jump out of the record, and they're just another, in my opinion, they are an iconic band in that they influenced, again, so many other bands that we know of now. Even country western, like Garth Brooks was influenced by Kiss, of all bands.
Well, I think if you are into live music, you know, you certainly have to acknowledge that Kiss has pretty much taken that sort of arena and
they just harnessed it.
Yeah.
And they just drove it. I mean, they were one of the first to really do that level of pyrotechnics and show. Alice Cooper was one of the first ones to really do it. But Kiss took it to their own level and made themselves like comic book heroes, really.
And the other thing I want to say is that we were very lucky to finally see Kiss in makeup.
1999.
Yeah, New Year's Eve, 1999.
The original band.
In Vancouver, Canada. We drove up from Seattle, got to see the original band members, Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, all those guys. And they did not disappoint. It was a great night.
It was fabulous. So, without further ado...
ABBA! No. Dancing Queen! No ABBA. Instead, we have one of my all-time favorite albums, regardless of the year. But I absolutely love the original album from Boston.
Yep.
And this is an album I personally never get sick of. I know you, I think I've actually burned you out on it.
Well, it's an amazing album. Boston, that was probably, I think it was like the top selling album of the year when it came out. It is a phenomenal album, but being young at the time, it was on the radio everywhere and you get tired of it. I mean, it's a great album, but I mean, I can wake up in the middle of the night and hum the same tune. So
I think the weird thing for me about this album is that I'm actually really not that big of a Boston fan, because I don't really like their second album or even their third that much, because they really do sound almost exactly the same.
Yeah, they kind of do.
But there's something about this album that I absolutely love.
It was in my opinion, it was their best.
Yeah, and it has one of my all-time favorite songs by them, and that is, it's called Foreplay or Long Time. It basically this really long sort of instrumental.
That is a classic song. Classic.
And it busts into this I don't know, it's just got a really awesome rock vibe to it. So Boston comes in at number 2.
Number 2.
Okay, so now we're up to number 1, and this is an album that we didn't have to debate about. I mean,
no, we did not.
We just knew that this was going to be the number 1 pick because it's so freaking awesome, especially when you're looking at hard rock music of the 70s. It was iconic because when it came out, it changed music, and it
really did.
It changed hard rock for almost the next 10 years. I mean,
just kind of like just shook everybody up and just took rock in a whole different direction. It was, again, another iconic album.
Yeah.
It is dun 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 dun.
Van Halen 1. Such a great party album. So many classic songs on here.
Yeah.
Your favorite song is actually not one of the rockin' ones. It
actually is a rockin' one, but it's not the one you would expect.
Well, it's like an acoustic song.
No, it's not.
Isn't it Ice Cream Man?
It's Ice Cream Man, but Ice Cream Man is not an acoustic song.
It starts off acoustic, says the guitar player.
But they kick it up a notch.
That's
they
true.
Give it an enema. It's awesome.
A rock enema.
Yes, they do.
In addition to that song, there's just a ton of great tunes on here.
There are Jamie's Crying.
Yep.
Running with the Devil.
Yep. Ain't Talking About Love.
Feel Your Love Tonight, which is another great song.
And I think every kid that went to high school in the late 70s and 80s knew somebody who could play Eruption note for note. I certainly did.
Yep, me too.
And he was like the coolest guy in school. I wish I could play that well.
I knew a guy who could play it. He learned it by ear. He didn't have any guitar tab or notes or anything. He just learned how to play it by ear.
Yeah, I hate him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, number 1, Van Halen 1.
Well, Metal Jesus is a little bit occupied right now, so I'm sitting in for him. So that was our retrospective of our favorite 70s albums. we would like to continue this. We want to hear from you and let us know what you think, because we're thinking about doing different genres, different timelines, you know, just mixing it up. So thanks for watching, and have a good one. Thanks for subscribing. Bye.
Yeah.